Thank you very much, Susan. Now, over the past year or so, Jonathan, or Jono Ridler, has stunned the nation, or at least the nation's open water swimming community, with his extraordinary enthusiasm for ice baths. And then a few months ago, he decided to stun us again, this time by swimming across Foveaux Strait extremely quickly. Jono's swim, completed in under 8 hours, not only broke the record for crossing Foveaux Strait, but also meant that he had achieved the fastest combined time for completing the Triple Crown. And not only did he achieve the fastest combined time, he achieved it by, I think, around 3 hours. And it is for this reason, and also because we like him, that we invited him to speak here tonight. And we are very grateful that he could tear himself away from his ice baths for a weekend to do so. So Jono, please come up.
Thank you very much. So I thought it was interesting to hear the parallel between how we both started. Where are you, sorry, because the first open water swim that I did was the harbour crossing as well, back in 2011. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The journey of the last 3 or so years swimming some of New Zealand's most famed crossings has been my greatest privilege to experience, and one hell of an adventure. Tonight, I'd like to tell you the story of why. The cabin rocked from side to side, and I struggled to hold upright in the water closet of the boat as I concentrated on the task at hand. After finishing my business, I made my way back up onto the main deck to see the pot of dolphins in the distance swimming away from the boat and toward Mana Island. I wondered what it was that they were swimming away from, in the same direction that we were heading toward at a rate of knots. We eventually arrived at the starting line of Ohau Point, with the turbines of the wind farm on the hills whirring slowly away in the background. With cap and goggles set, I took one last look at the South Island, making out something resembling land in the hazy distance. I wouldn't look again until I was more than halfway through the swim. Without ceremony, I clambered onto the IRB off the back of the launch, and soon enough, we were on our way toward the start point. This was it. Months of preparation were about to come to a head. Phil told me to slide over the side and swim toward that rock over there. When I got to it, I would touch it and we would be off. I asked, "You mean the rock with the seal on it?" And Phil absent-mindedly responded, yeah, having had only a few hours of sleep the night before following Caitlin's Lake Taupo swim. I swam toward the rock with the seal on it, which happened to be a sea lion of the biting variety. While in the water, I was told at some point on my way that this was, in fact, not the correct rock, and new bearings were provided. I stopped at the chosen rock and started to prepare myself to take a quick toilet break before we set off, as we had earlier agreed. Soon enough, both Sarah and Phil were yelling at me, "Go, go, go, the seal's chasing you." And so my quick straight swim began. The first 10 minutes or so were reasonably processional. There was chop, but it was neither here nor there. I swam through a thick soup of salp, and moon jellyfish hovered below and beside me as I swam by. Even at this early stage, I could feel the power of the ocean, and it was removed from anything that I had experienced before. Soon enough, we became exposed to the full force of the wind and swell. The swell was up to 2 to 3 metres during this next phase. Waves crashed over me on more than one occasion, forcing me into a roll and an impromptu backstroke before I resumed my face-down front crawl position. My fiancée Sarah, who was supporting on the IRB, likens this part to a scene out of a shipwreck movie. It wasn't too long during this period of difficulty before a voice came into my head asking, "Why are you doing this?" I'm sure many of you will be familiar with the same voice. It arrives without invitation and presents itself as external to you and not of your own making. And it is not one that you can bat away easily. I've since become very familiar with this voice and the same question being demanded of me. It happened during my Lake Taupo swim, during my Foveaux Strait swim, and it's come forward time and time again during the training sessions in the lead-up. The same voice in question has barraged through the door of my mind on countless occasions, and most often I've found when I'm pushing at the edge of my limits. After being on the receiving end of this unsolicited attack on my psyche, I've had plenty of reason and given plenty of time to frame an answer to this question. Growing up, I was not a swimmer, and I could certainly be classified as a late starter to the sport of marathon swimming, completing my first open water swim at 21 and my first marathon swim at 26. My favourite part of swimming lessons when I was younger was when it was all over and Mum would buy us a raspberry twist for getting through it. For me, there was not the straightforward path of pool swimming hopeful to marathon swimmer that you may think. In tracing back through my background before marathon swimming, there are clues that reveal how this sport came to be my passion and obsession. I was always an adventurous child, the one to go off wandering on his own and be happiest exploring somewhere new. It was also clear earlier on in life that I was both incredibly tenacious and competitive, which revealed itself in the arenas of sport, card games, board games, and just about anything where the prize of winning was at stake. And I was never far away from the ocean growing up. And today I feel more whole as a person around or within the ocean than away from it. There are dozens of breadcrumbs like this that I can pull forward to trace back my entry into this world, but they don't completely answer the question of why I continue and why I have a compulsion to continue, only how I came to knock at this door to begin with. And so begs the question of why. I've always thought it interesting the concept of doing something because it's there as a reason for why. To me, it's an overly simple explanation. I believe that when George Mallory initially said this in relation to his reason for climbing Mount Everest, that there were layers on layers beneath this very simple answer. But here's another simple answer. I swim because I love it. I love the exploration and adventure. I love the intense physical and mental challenge that ultramarathon swims offer. I love the connection to nature, where the longer that you spend in the water, the more the line blurs between your body and the water that surrounds it. And I love that the deeper that I go, the more I discover about myself and that my potential is truly limitless. I love the community that surrounds the sport and that you are never far away from a kindred spirit as you traverse the lows and highs of the journey. And life, as I've come to learn, is at its core an exploration and adventure of the self alongside the people that you love. And that is why I swim. I think back to that day in Cook Strait when I eventually touched the land off Pirano Head on the South Island to demarcate the end of the swim. In completing this challenge, it was like a veil had lifted and I saw life through a new lens. I wrote shortly after completing the Cook Strait swim that it was like I had unlocked the cheat codes to life. Every swim challenge that has followed has added another layer of belief to this underlying foundation, the belief that I can dream big and achieve what may have once seemed impossible. And every journey has added to my understanding of the self. And so to you, my fellow adventurers and explorers of the ocean and lake, dream big. Find the things that scare you the most and chase those. Wander off the beaten track to find your own path. Imagine everything you want and chase it with everything that you have. And most importantly, enjoy the journey with the people that you love. Well done again for all your swimming adventures, and I look forward to seeing what comes next. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your evening.